You ever try to leave somewhere, and it won't let you go? That was me. The day I moved out of my HOA, I thought I was finally free. No more passive-aggressive notices. No more measuring my grass with a ruler. No more friendly reminders about my trash cans being visible for 7 minutes too long. But Karen? Oh, Karen had other plans. She wasn't just any HOA president. She was the judge, jury, and sidewalk color inspector. And apparently she thought moving out meant I was disrespecting her authority. So when the U-Haul pulled up and I started loading my life into boxes, she stood on my lawn with her arms crossed like she owned the whole zip code. Then she did the unthinkable. She called the cops. But that's not even the twist. Because when the officer stepped out of the squad car, Karen's face drained of color. You see, the cop she called was my son. And Karen, well, let's just say she ended up in handcuffs that day. But let's rewind a bit, because trust me, this story, it starts long before the handcuffs. And you're not going to believe what she did before that day. Let me take you back to where it really began. I moved into Chestnut Pines 12 years ago. At first, it was perfect. Quiet streets, clean lawns, neighborhood barbecues, the whole suburban dream. And then, Karen was elected HOA president. She looked harmless. Gray bob, pastel sweaters, a smile that never reached her eyes. But she ran that neighborhood like a dictatorship wrapped in bunting. I kept my head down until my wife passed. Suddenly the house felt too big, too quiet. I decided it was time to downsize and move closer to my son, who had just joined the force. Proud dad stuff. That's when the issues began. The minute the for sale sign went up, I got an email from the HOA. All real estate signage must be pre-approved. Fine. I filled out their silly form. Next week, a violation notice, lawn not uniformly green. I kid you not. I replaced a patch of sod. The day after, Karen was on my porch with a clipboard. Just checking that you're not violating transition protocols. We don't allow homes to appear in flux. I didn't even know what that meant. But I smiled, nodded, and went inside. Then the fines started. $50 for having a moving box visible through the window. $100 for commercial vehicle presence, aka the moving truck I rented for one day. Neighbors started noticing. One whispered, she did this to the Millers. They left in the middle of the night just to avoid her. But I wasn't leaving in the night. I wasn't sneaking off. I paid my dues, I followed their rules, or so I thought. Because one morning, a bright red sticker was slapped on my front door. Show hold. Move prohibited until review complete. And that was just the beginning. The next 2 weeks felt like a war of attrition. Karen sent weekly fines, each more absurd than the last. $75 for suspicious disposal practices. I threw away broken garden gnomes. $120 for excessive driveway activity, loading my couch into the trailer. $90 because I left a broom leaning on my porch for 10 minutes. Visual disorder, she called it. Every time I tried to speak with her, she'd say, I'm just enforcing community standards. You don't want to bring down property values, do you? Meanwhile, her yard had pink flamingos and a moldy pumpkin from last Halloween. I appealed the fines. No response. I contacted the HOA board. Karen was the board. I even had a realtor friend look into the HOA bylaws. Turns out, none of the fines were legally binding once I submitted my formal exit paperwork, which I had 2 months ago. I printed it, highlighted it, hand-delivered it to Karen. She refused to accept it. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I kept moving. She started blocking my driveway with her car. My neighbor Alan caught her on his ring cam placing tacks behind my rear tires. Ladies unhinged, man, he said. Then came the morning of the big move. My son, Officer Daniel, took a few days off to help. I didn't tell him everything. I wanted to spare him the drama. But Karen didn't care who was watching. She marched over, clutching her clipboard like a holy relic. You are in direct violation of HOA Code 47B.1. No unauthorized movement of property until hold is lifted. Karen, I've filed everything. You have no authority anymore. Then I'm calling the police. She stormed off, dialing 911 like she was reporting a murder. I was calm, almost amused. Because what Karen didn't know was that the officer on patrol that day was Daniel. And that hold she clung to was about to hold her. I didn't stop Karen. I let her call. In fact, I encouraged it, because I'd already filed an official report against her for harassment. And I'd kept records, photos of the notices, videos of her blocking my driveway, a copy of the bylaws. Karen was about to walk into her own trap. 10 minutes later, the squad car rolled up. Daniel stepped out, uniform, badge, cool as ever. Karen's confident smirk vanished. "Oh, good, officer. I need you to arrest this man for trespassing. He's violating HOA code, ma'am. This is my father, and he owns this property. What's your emergency?" She blinked, stuttered. Well, he's not allowed to move. Actually, ma'am, according to this paperwork," he held up my documentation, "he is. And based on his complaint and video evidence, we have grounds to file charges for harassment and attempted property damage." Karen's eyes darted. She pointed at the board's notice. "That's an official HOA hold." "No, ma'am. That's a sticker. You do not have legal enforcement power beyond your bylaws, which this homeowner is no longer subject to." Then he pulled out handcuffs. "I'm going to ask you to place your hands behind your back. You are being detained for further investigation." Neighbors emerged. Phones came out. One of them whispered, "Finally." Somebody put her in her place. Karen wailed, shrieking about her rights, the HOA, the fabric of society. It was almost poetic. Karen was escorted to the car, still yelling about bylaws and community order. As Daniel shut the door behind her, he looked at me and said, "You sure know how to throw a going-away party." I laughed. I hadn't felt that light in months. The HOA board, what remained of it, was suddenly very interested in reviewing Karen's actions. Apparently, I wasn't the only one she harassed. She was removed as president within a week. 3 neighbors sent me baked goods. Someone even made a cardboard sign that said, "Free HOA zone, thanks to you." My favorite part? The flamingos disappeared. The moldy pumpkin, too. And the next president? My neighbor Jill, first order of business. We are not the neighborhood police. Karen got off with community service and mandatory HOA training. But the real sentence? Everyone knew who she really was now. You don't realize how heavy something is until you set it down. Karen was never just about the rules. She was about control. And the second I stopped obeying blindly, she lost her grip. Here's the thing. HOAs can be great when they serve the community, not control it. But sometimes the best way to fix a broken system is to walk away from it with a U-Haul and a cop for a son. If you've ever had to deal with a Karen, an overreaching HOA, or just someone who couldn't mind their own business, drop a comment. What would you have done if you were me? And if you made it to the end, comment, "Justice served." Because when justice wears a badge and calls you dad, it hits a little different. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.